today's talks have been a lot around suicide and mental awareness, which I'm going to cover in part of what I'm speaking about. But something that I also see a lot in the age group that I work with and growing up in Taos are issues with housing. We've covered drug and alcohol abuse, and you don't have running water, you can't shower or do laundry. For all age groups, not just the youth in Taos, but I particularly work with this started when I was 14 years old. I'm 21 now, but we work with ages 14 to 24 is the projected age group that we're targeting. So in the summer of 2016, Taos had some tough statistics, and not to say there aren't tough statistics regarding all of these things, but particularly there were 4 youth suicides in Taos County. And at the time, one of these kids was in a lot of my classes. I hung out with him in school. I saw him around town doing a bunch of other things with friends, and we had a lot of connections. And the first time I'm gonna make you guys feel old, I'm sorry. The first time I heard the word suicide was when I was 12 years old in 2014 and Robin Williams had passed away. And my parents, those of you who know my mom, Jill Cline, she talks a lot, and she's very open and talks about all of her life experiences. But this wasn't something that I really comprehended at that age. I was like, oh, someone died, they did it themselves. I really, at 12 years old, had no idea what that meant until 2 years later, I was 14, and one of my friends died by suicide. And not only that, there were a bunch of kids. There was someone in one of my older brother's classes. And it was something I wasn't familiar with. And so after that summer, there was an EQ meeting. And if you're not familiar with the term EQ, it's similar to IQ, it's your emotional intelligence. And so there was a meeting between Taos Academy Charter and Taos High School. I went to Taos Academy, and I unfortunately at the time was too young to attend this meeting. And so I didn't go, but my mom, Jill, was one of the chaperones at this meeting. And within this, it was an overnight workshop, and within this, they talked about the lack of support in the community, the lack of things to do, and that the kids wanted somewhere to go at 2 a.m. for waffles. Just a little unrealistic, but one of the things is that kids feel in this community is they walk into a coffee shop and they're like, oh, we're too young, people or think that we're gonna be loud and obnoxious, or they go into Walmart and people are like, oh, they're gonna steal something, and there's nothing to do. You can go to the Youth and Family Center, but it's really at this point aimed at younger kids. And it's not a place for the older teenagers and young adults to go. And one of the things that you can do in Taos, like me, is you can go outside. You can go hiking, snowboarding, skiing, whatever it may be. But if you're not inclined to do those things, or you want to stay inside and play video games, there's not a lot of options. We're in a really small town, a rural area. And so I wasn't at this meeting, like I said, but my mom came to me the next few mornings. We got brunch after that. The whole family was there. And she told me about what these kids wanted and told me about this bright idea of opening a youth outreach center that kids can go to just be themselves, and adults aren't allowed, basically is what the idea of it was. And so when this started, there were a multitude of students, including myself. So I say I co-created this, but I'm one of the original youth that's actually left in the program, and that has to do with kids moving on to other parts of the state for college, work opportunities, doing whatever it may be. And I graduated in the middle of COVID, so I didn't find the opportunity to leave Taos at the time. And I wasn't really sure what I wanted to pursue then either. And so we started this back in, I guess it was 2017 at that point, or the school year of 2017. And we talked about what we needed out of an outreach building. We didn't know where to meet. A bunch of my friends got together, some of the kids in the EQ group got together, and we started meeting at the St. James Episcopal Church, which has been and still is one of the greatest supporters of this project. And that doesn't mean that we're evangelizing kids. We are ecumenical and secular, so everybody in the community is welcome, and we're not just targeting at-risk youth, we're targeting everyone that wants a place to go in Taos, everyone that finds interest in the program that we have. So we started doing these meetings at the St. James Church, and we ultimately found a way to get high school class credit out of it, which was a win for us. And so like I said, I'm currently the only young person still involved, but I'm also now on the board of allies, as we like to call it, because they're adult allies to the kids. The entire project that I'm going to be getting into has been designed by the kids. So anywhere between ages 14 to, I think our oldest right now is actually 26, but the program is made up to 24, and that has to do with state requirements of such sorts. So in terms of what the community has done to actually support this project, they've really helped us get things out of the idea stage and into like a project and planning stage. And some of the high school class credit we got had to do with proposals, grant writing, fundraising, and just getting experience, like getting a foot in the door, like maybe I like business or things like that. And so it really gave the kids the opportunity to customize what they wanted out of this. But we also did really fun things too in terms of fundraising. One of my favorite things that we did was a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. And so what we did was, sorry, let me flip my page really quick. We had a bunch of community members from all around town, so like Taos Alive, I can't remember exactly what community members or organizations were involved at the time, but we had any kind of first responder you can think of, police officers, firefighters, EMTs, and we got teams of 3 and we played them against students. And so it was this giant event. We had maybe 25 teams, and we had 4 teams on the court at a time, 2 games going, and we raised money. Half of the money, as long as it was a winning student team, went to the students, and the other half went to the organization. But I mentioned that because it wasn't just a fundraising opportunity. It was a really good opportunity to get the kids involved with the community. And even afterwards, we asked some of the kids, like, how did you feel about that? And they're like, well, I don't like cops. I've had my run-in with cops, but I just beat him on the basketball court. I feel great. And so it was really good for them to have that relationship building with the adults in town, because that's where you start. Is the kids didn't feel like they had adults they could trust or support in the community. And so we haven't been able to do that since, and that's because of different occupations at the Taos High School, but and also our planning into the building, we just haven't really thought about it. But that's a perfect example of getting the kids and adults to actually talk with each other. So other than that, they've offered a lot to the community in terms of, within the last 6 years, supporting the idea of the project and helping us find a location and hit the ground running. So our building currently is located at 123 Cruz Alta. It was Dr. Charlie Anderson's old pediatric clinic. And when we got the building, it is still owned by Kit Carson Electric, but we went in and we're like, hey, Luis, you aren't using it. Can we have it? And they were like, sure. And they trusted us. They trusted a bunch of kids. And part of that actually was Luis's grandson, who is my age. He probably really felt the connection with some of the other students in the area that had issues at the time. We also have a youth-led food truck. It's a giant silver Airstream. I'm sure some of you have seen it. I know some of you have seen it and hired us before. And so that's another community support, is they've allowed a bunch of kids to serve food that some of them have no prior work experience. And it's good food. I hope you can attest to that. And another community partnership that we have is with the Dream Tree Project, which still feels like a fairly new partnership to me, but correct me if I'm wrong, Catherine, it was 2022 when we started conversations. That sounds about right. So Catherine is the director of the Dream Tree Project, and they are one of the biggest supporters. They've helped us with more statewide resources, offer training, potential staffing opportunities, and not to mention they actually furnished about 90% of our building, thank you. And so yeah, it was 2022 we started that like talk of partnership and what we could do to help each other, because they basically had the opportunity to open an outreach center, but we were already doing it, so they were like, hey, let's work together. And in late 2023, I became an official contracted employee of Dream Tree. And so I've been involved with the project ever since it started and have been there side by side with it. And we lost, unfortunately, 2 years to COVID of progress. But I'm now working with Dream Tree in that sense. The whole project is. So right now, in terms of what the community can do for us, is we're looking at a soft opening date in June. Because we recently hired a new director. Her name is Christy Eileen, and she is to replace Jill, who is moving on to other parts of the state for her ministry in the Episcopal Church. But as we finish certain pieces of training and requirements and setting up furniture in the building, we really need adult volunteers who are willing to, show up and be with the kids and just, tell them that they have adults they can trust. You're not there to mother them or tell them what to do in the building or say things need to run this way. But, just be there so we don't burn down the building, because we can't let a bunch of kids run free. And over the years, so when I say we're looking at a soft opening date, that is to say we haven't opened our building yet, but not to say we haven't done programming. So as I said, we've done a lot of business planning, fundraising, things like that, getting donations and grant writing and stuff. And we've also done peer support groups over the years. So held at the St. James Church right before COVID, we had weekly groups where we had a licensed counselor come in and another adult there, and we let the kids just talk it out. Like that video we had seen that Shanti showed us earlier. The kids just sat, and it's like they don't have an adult to talk to. They want to talk to each other because they know what they're going through. So that was something that really helped bring out the ideas of what we needed in the community. And since we started the project, have had about 150 kids in and out of the project in various ways. But that's just a small fraction of the spectrum of kids in Taos County that we're trying to reach. So if you're interested in possibly volunteering, you can come to me after, and I'd be happy to share information with you. So our mission statement for Common Grounds, as it says, is Common Grounds, a Taos Teen Co-op and Cafe, is a youth outreach mission of St. James Episcopal Church, welcoming all with respect for inherent dignity and value of every person, reaching out to young people and their families with love and compassion, regardless of ethnicity or creed, encouraging them to care for one another and feel truly a part of the community through direct community engagement, partnerships, and activity programming. We're a co-op of teens and adults and community sponsors cooperating with each other to meet teen needs and offer support services. We're a cafe with a menu of breakfast and lunch items and a menu of activity for teens. And for those of you, now I'll get to it, that don't actually know what Common Grounds is, as I said, it was an old pediatric clinic. I have some pictures I can show afterwards. I didn't set up my laptop, but I can grab that in a bit. The building was in complete disarray. It was used for storage, and there were things falling apart, and there were all of these medical examination rooms in there that were like, we can use these and do things with it. And the idea of the project was originally projected at an $80,000 project, and we have since put over $200,000 into the building. Some of the activities that are going to be in the building is the main open area is going to be a cafe, so kids can come in and get their coffee, get their little pastry, and go and sit down like a cafe setting. But we're also going to be targeting things like activities. So if you're out of school and your parents can't pick you up or you have nowhere to go, we're going to have a music room with Jimmy Stadler, if you know who he is, helped us pick out brand new music equipment for it. We're going to have a gaming room with video games and board games available for kids. We're also going to have an art room and a library. There's a classroom for people to come in, they can study together, or people can come in and teach classes to the kids. And we do also have a study area with brand new computers and printers and free internet for kids that don't have access to that at home, especially kids going to Taos Academy. It's a hybrid school, so they need that access, and some of them don't have a laptop. They're borrowing from the school and stuff like that. We're also we had 2 new showers put in, so we'll have shower services available, laundry services available. And one of the rooms is a little mini food pantry and give and take closet. So if you can't afford what's at the cafe, you can go back there and grab ramen or whatever might be there. If you don't have something at home, go grab some snacks, or you need a new pair of shoes, maybe we have something. And other than that, we also, in kind of the back rooms, have offices for the director and the shared staffing that we'll have with Dreamtree. And we also have counseling rooms that will be able to be contracted out for people to come and meet with clients, which is very helpful, because I've run into Ted Wired meeting with clients at the coffee shop before, and he's like, I don't like doing that. So it's something that we really is needed in Taos for kids. And again, like I said, there's the at-risk community that maybe they're coming in for support, and that's part of where the partnership with Dreamtree comes in, is if they don't have housing, they don't know where to go for help, they don't know who to talk to, they can come into this building and there's going to be a lot of people around their age, but then we can refer them to the Dreamtree Service Navigator, which we're in the process of hiring, that can help with a lot of that extra assistance. And otherwise, if you're just coming in to get coffee and go play the drums, you can do that too. We want it to be for everyone that just needs a place to go, whether it's that you're in need or you just want to go and hang out with friends. So some of my personal history with this, as I had shared in the beginning, was that I was unfamiliar with suicide and mental awareness. But once I got exposed to that at a really young age, I ended up getting a really good head on my shoulders for having an understanding of that. And part of it is both of my parents too are in recovery, and my mother has been in and out of institutes herself, which I know she wouldn't mind me sharing just by the way she's very open about her story. And so ever since I was young, they were always very honest about things, and it gave me a good understanding of, experimenting and going through these things as a kid and a young person in Taos. But it also, when I was younger, I used to think that it was a warning, like, oh, don't do this and don't do that. But as I got older, I realized it was a warning, but not in the way that I was like, oh, don't tell me to do that because I'm going to go do it. It helped me get that understanding of the real problems here. So I am young, but I have a lot of experience with the awareness of everything in Taos, from kids to adults. And I also, at a very young age, have started experiencing depression and anxiety. I've got ADHD, and my brain runs wild all of the time. And that's something that I've had to deal with and be, aware enough to actually share it, especially being so young. And I've seen a lot of my friends go through these sorts of things. Peers, friends, kids younger than me or kids older than me in my brother's older classes that really struggle with these things too, and either don't have the resources or they don't want to deal with it. Or they say, like, I'm just young and dumb and figuring it out, which can be true in some cases, but a lot of people think I'm older than I am just because I have such a deep understanding of what the need is. So I'm really drawn to helping people, the community of any age, more particularly youth, because get them while they're young and help them find the right resources before it becomes a problem. And I won't share anything about any of my friends or peers that I've seen, but it's a problem in the community for mental health resources, drug and alcohol resources for the younger community, housing assistance, really anything, and especially just not feeling the support from the community and not knowing where to go to even sit down and draw a picture of the mountains. It's hard for kids to grow up in Taos, and I know that from firsthand experience. So when I was 14, I wished that I had a place to go like this. I wished that when I was younger, I could say, oh, I'm gonna go to Common Grounds and just hang out there for a little while. Because most of the time, I did some sports, but out of season and stuff like that, I just sat at home and I watched YouTube and played Minecraft. That's what kids my age did. And I wish I had some place to be able to just go and hang out with friends that wasn't like Coco's Cafe, where I didn't know if people were gonna welcome me there or not at that age. But I really am proud to be part of the community that has actually brought this to Taos, despite it not being around for me at that time, and for my friends at that time. And so I'm hoping that we get the building open and it's not a complete failure. I don't think it will be. We have a lot of community support, and kids that I've talked to, I've gone to schools, are really excited for the idea of it. So the idea is that we get it open in June and we start soft programming, and it hits the ground running and goes as far as it can possibly go and beyond. So I'm proud to be a part of that community that's helped get that going, even if it wasn't something around that I was in that age, when I was in that age range. So there's that. I can pull up pictures of before and after if you'd like. Which might take me a minute. I will say some of the before pictures are horrible and the lighting is bad, but it kind of gives the eeriness of what the building looked like before we put the work into it. And Catherine, I don't know if you've even seen these pictures. They're a little small, but you can see the destruction of walls and wires hanging everywhere, and the gross colors and lighting in there was really bad. There was insulation showing, the floors were all different, walls were different colors, cabinets were broken. And it was just really an ugly building. It hadn't had any care put into it in a really long time. And this is me, the new director, Christy, Eileen, and my mom on the left. And I don't know why these pictures are so small, but the progress of the building, currently, this is the front. So it's very different. It's bright and it's pretty. Yay. This is the study area. I don't have pictures of all the rooms because some of them are still in disarray from us moving in. But this is the study area. These are some of the murals going on right now. So I'm doing the one in the back with the little cabin through the door, and one of my friends, Harvest, is working on the giant plant wall. This is our kitchen. One of the new bathrooms with a shower behind the door on the left side, and there's another bathroom with a shower as well. This is our little food pantry, give and take closet, all stocked up so far. One of the hallways down to some of the offices and counseling rooms. This is our classroom, which Jim Wagner, if you guys know who that artist is, we had a giant wall taken out here and have preserved it. And it's sitting in our hallway right now, still trying to figure out what to do with it. But we had the contractors completely frame it out because it's Jim Wagner art. It's very expensive. A washer and dryer unit that we have. This is one of the offices, and this is my favorite room with the art because of the hot air balloons. I love them. A counseling room, which is like one of like 3 rooms that's actually fully set up right now. And this is what the art room is, but I'm calling it the expansion room because these are all beanbag chairs that I are trying to fluff up right now after 2 years of being in boxes. And then some of the progress. So these are some of the kids that are on the youth council that, you know, when you're in a conversation with them, they can talk for hours about ideas and what they want out of the building. But if I brought them here, they would stand here and look at you guys like, don't ask me questions. They're very, very funny group of kids. This was Carla. You guys might recognize Carla and her friend. She's the Taos County events manager, but she painted our entire building. And this is before the floors went in, any furniture, anything. It's just, you can really see the difference in like the liveliness of the place. And it's it's a big building and a lot of space to utilize things. This was the process of the flooring. And so, yeah, that's our building so far.